The top of the morning, everyone, and welcome to the Great Work of Your Life interview series. We are here today with Ms. Paulette Green. I'm so excited to have her on the call. Welcome, Paulette.
Good morning, Mary. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We're going to share a short bio about you, and then we will get right into the interview. Does that sound okay by you?
Sounds like perfection.
Perfect. All right. So I wanted to start by saying, personally, knowing Paulette as I do, Paulette is a rare breed. She is one in a million. And the reason is she figured out the great work of her life very early on. And according to her bio, for as long as she can remember, she's been engaged in doing something creative. And in fact, she can't see herself doing anything else. This has since been the age of 2, where her bio says she's been ready for new adventures and creative collaborations. So she's hitting a milestone in 2021. She'll be celebrating 20 years as the owner, and she's a visual communications artist and graphic designer. Her company is called P Green Design, and you can find it online at pgreendesign.com. She makes brands come alive, thrive, and endure using a content drives design approach. I am witness to this. She has single-handedly designed more than 100 beautiful logos over the course of her career and counting. And you're going to love this part. Paulette won her first visual communications award in the 8th grade, and she has gone on to receive more than 60 national and international awards from industry experts for creating distinct imprints that command more industry influence and create a positive impact on the bottom line. This is most important. We've talked about this, Paulette and I. There are more than 80,000 hours behind the P Green Design brand, which is a great segue to our first question. So welcome, Paulette. Question number 1, what gives you energy?
Oh, I think it goes without saying, ideas, talking about ideas, brainstorming, creating imprints. I love it. That's what really fuels my passion and my energy day to day.
As I mentioned, I've been witness to it. I've had the privilege of seeing your beautiful work. On the flip side, what drains your energy? Do you have a pet peeve?
Well, negativity, I have to say. I'm really more of a glass is half full person. And so I much prefer the positive approach.
Excellent. Perfect. So this may or may not be a tough question. Question number 3. What do you love the most about your work? I mean, this is your life's work. This is your DNA. You mentioned in your bio, you can't imagine doing anything else. So what do you love about it?
I love the act of creation. As I mentioned, talking about ideas, brainstorming, just the act of developing an idea, the concept through, the collaborative process of getting feedback from clients, and then honing, refining the idea, and ultimately having, an end product that will make a brand come alive and thrive, endure, and that will thrill the client.
Yes, and I've used your word. You use this word a lot. Co-create. You enjoy co-creation. It really is true.
That is definitely part of my process. I get energy from co-creating or collaborating. It's really a lot more fun for me and a more of an amazing process rather than being in a vacuum and working on your own.
Perfect. So on the flip side, we have to ask, what do you like the least about your work?
Well, being a solopreneur, I wear every hat in the business. And while I love getting the checks in, my least favorite part is actually having to do the invoicing and the taxes, accounting, things like that.
There's probably a lot of folks who are listening that can absolutely relate to that. So it's good to know that there's someone else out there that there's parts that aren't always rosy and glowing. So question number 5, and I'm really anxious to hear the answer to this because you figured it out so early on, which is fascinating to me. when did you realize you knew what the great work of your life would be?
Yeah, actually, even though I've realized that really the great work of my life started around the age of 2, it hasn't been until recently that I actually intellectualized that idea and thought about what I've done, every step of the way throughout my life, creatively. And, lately I've just come to the realization that, yeah, yeah, I'm really born to be creative.
And there has to be some comfort in this, in sense of knowing, just kind of knowing that this is what you were born to do, for lack of better way of phrasing it, that you just know.
Yes, there's a lot of comfort in knowing that, and just in knowing I'm doing something I was built to do, and I feel comfortable with it. So, it can come pretty easily. Things that I think about aren't necessarily as obvious to other people. And in fact, one of my clients has commented on that I will come forth with solutions that he never ever would have thought of, and he's been in the marketing world for a number of years. So that really,
So your client makes a great point that you make it look effortless. Folks have said you have an effortlessly chic style about you. So so we're curious. Do you ever have doubts, or do you ever have freak out moments where you about the great work of your life? And can you give us an example?
well, of course, everyone has doubts. And when you're in a business like mine, when you're working with design and style, that can be a very um, objective, or I'm sorry, subjective pursuit. And so, of course, I always am concerned when I'm presenting new concepts to a client. Did I hit the mark? Although there's a lot of process behind my system of gathering information to build concepts and to make sure that they are on target. But I always am concerned that my client will be thrilled.
Absolutely. You and I've talked a little bit about this next question. It's a little more philosophical. How do you define success?
Well, when I present concepts to a client, my greatest gauge of success is if they say that I've made their life so much more difficult because they are not able to choose, that they love them all so much. So to me, that's a great gauge of success.
Yes,
I love
absolutely.
I love if I can make a client's life more difficult in that way.
In that way, yeah, that's well said. Well said, definitely. So you're celebrating your 20th year in 2021. Congratulations. And as you look back and reflect on your storied career, if you had to do it all over again, what would that look like and why?
I don't know that I would do anything differently. Only because way back when I was thinking about a career path, I chose something that I thought I could be great at doing. And it was as simple as that. I got, good grades in art and English, in school. And so I thought, well, that kind of, sets me up for success. I'll just take that route. And it was basically as simple as that. And my theory has worked over the years. I'm doing something I love and something that I was built to do.
Mhm. Indeed. And if folks go to your website, keygreendesign.com, and they will see a broad range. Obviously, logos are your sweet spot. I mean, that's something that you do like no other. That is, you are greatest in the world at that. However, being a visual communications artist and a graphic design expert, you do a plethora of things: websites, brochures, annual reports, digital communications materials. There's so much there. So what would you say is your superpower? where you've spent, 80,000 hours honing your craft?
Where is my superpower? I guess just working, on something creative, every single day. I don't think hardly a day goes by that I'm not involved in thinking, creating, doing something to create an imprint, whether it be design related, reading about design and creativity, viewing other people's, great works, um, creating greeting cards for friends, coming up with a creative cocktail. I'm always thinking about something creative. I just love the act of creating, of making something and having something that you can hold in your hands afterwards and say, I made this.
Yes, and for posterity, because I understand that you have had clients for many, many years where you've got them started, and now here we are 10, 15, even 20 years later, and they're coming back to you for more, for a refresh of their brand.
Yes.
Yes, excellent.
Yeah, that's another sign of success to me, particularly when you think about how competitive the field can be. I have one client who came back to me after 14 years, and we had really had very little contact across those years, except for the occasional, could you send me this file? I've misplaced it. Or, could you tell me what my PMS colors are? Things like that. But, I'm so happy that I made such an impression on them, and they, liked my work so well that they came back to me, and they didn't even shop around for anyone new. There was no doubt in their mind that they wanted to work with me. And, I was very pleased to hear that.
Brilliant. And I've noticed in your portfolio, your range of industries is also very broad, but you have an affinity for healthcare. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I do. That's where I got my start at from a local hospital here in Pittsburgh. It was Swickley Valley Hospital, and I'd landed there. It was like it was the first offer I had in my job search for a professional physician, and I took it and I loved it, and I was there for a number of years and had the opportunity within that realm to wear every hat. I think it was an early indicator that I could be an entrepreneur. Within the community relations department where I worked, I not only did design but had the opportunity to do some writing and editing and social event planning, and other kinds of public relations activities. And so healthcare was really, a fantastic place to start. It was a great, it's a great background for me. And, I enjoy it to this day. A large part of my clients are from some realm of the healthcare industry. Long-term care, post-acute care, assisted living. I've assisted companies who do data analysis for various aspects of healthcare, physician group practices, as well as hospitals, and individual consultants.
One thing I noticed that you are very good at, if you don't mind me saying, is writing. And not all visual artists and graphic designers are. And can you share a little bit about your journalism background, where, I mean, you from a strategic standpoint, you're kind of like the holy grail, because someone can contract with you, and they're getting almost a bonus, really, with your writing skills.
Well, way back when, when I went to college, I didn't want to really take the literature or English. I wanted something, just something more practical, if you will. So I went for a journalism degree. And at that time, and I suppose thinking back on it, I was a little bit ahead of the trend. I thought how writing and messaging combines with design, that the whole package really can make it so much more impactful. And I thought, if I can do both, it would really, be a bonus, going forward for an employer or for, eventually a client. And so I took that path. But I also, was involved in graphic design. And when I graduated, went on a job search, I found a job as a graphic specialist at our local hospital. And so the design portion came up, more strongly, but I always had the opportunity to write. And, lately, you know, that has really come more to the fore. Clients seem to really appreciate that extra dimension that I offer them. And it's very helpful with social media too for, writing in that, medium, which is one thing, of course, we could have never predicted, you know.
Absolutely. So, as my nephews would say, this is your jam. The graphic design, visual communications, the writing that goes with it. It's very strategic. This is your jam. So question number 10 is an interesting one. What do you wish you were better at?
Public speaking. That, I never, had, I don't know, it never took with me. That's just one talent that eludes me to a large degree. So yes, that's definitely something I wish I could do better.
And you are not alone. I can assure you, you are not alone with that one. Okay, so question number 11. What do you know about yourself, Paulette, to be absolutely true?
I know that absolutely I'm creative, and that I love to work on anything creative related, and I will do so from beyond sun up to beyond sundown.
I noticed that even it's sort of bled into your personal life too. I have the privilege of seeing a creative piece that you created for your nephew when he graduated from college. This absolutely gorgeous. Can you talk a little bit about that? It was very personal, and I know he loved it.
Sure. Well, I call it an eye bite, because in one single bite of the eye, you have like a visual of who Mark, my nephew, is, and it includes keywords about his personality, his philosophy, things that he likes to do, and it just kind of combines an interesting visual with everything he's about. And so I devised that idea as something special to give him for his graduation.
It was gorgeous, and my understanding is that he framed it, and it's hanging somewhere prominently where he can see it and be reminded of his greatness.
Yes, it's in his room, and of course, from a design standpoint, I made it in all of his favorite colors, and I used his school seal, and all of those things that would really resonate with him and that he would enjoy seeing every day.
I can't think of a better gift. That's wonderful. I have a fun question for you. This is question number 12 of 15. So, what would people be surprised to know about you?
Well, I think people would be surprised to know that I have run for office, and that was in high school. I ran class secretary my junior year in high school, and I had a slogan, and it was, rock the boat, vote. So looking back on it, I can see that I was already into branding. And
Yes.
create a tagline like that, I think was amazing. And then in terms of my love for creative reuse, even back then, my mom took me to the local newspaper, where they would just give you like leftover bolts of paper from the web press, and so I used those bolts of paper to create long, dramatic, eye-catching banners to promote my campaign and me.
Fantastic. I did not know this about you. This is a great story.
Well, I totally forgot about that until recently. And then the second thing that I think people would be absolutely amazed to know is that I have won a swearing contest. There you go. My love of words can take like a totally different twist.
Then that is definitely something most people would be surprised about.
I I know they are because every now and then a colorful word could slip out at work and people would be astounded because I guess I do come off as being, you know, pretty prim and proper at times and playing it straightforward. And then they see this whole different side of me.
Fantastic. I love it. That's a great one. That's perfect. And I've never heard it, but that is something people would definitely be surprised to know about you. Great one. Um, so along the same lines, I know you love to read. So can you share a book that has inspired you, or a book that has encouraged you to behave or think differently?
Sure. It's an indie book and it's called Creative Cues from the Cat. And
Oh,
I've been a cat fancier ever since I went to my grandma's house to visit and played with her cats. But when I came across this book, it really tweaked my imagination. And of course, it's a brilliant concept, and I wish I had thought of it first. But it's about how cats can inspire in many different ways and influence the creative process. It's kind of a whole new vision of the creative concept and the creature. And, it takes clues about how cats live with vision. And so the book talks about probably 15 traits that cats project that, every person, with vision, might, desire to think about emulating.
really? Could you share the title once again?
It's called Creative Cues from the Cat, the Visionary Virtues of Our Feline Friends.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. And I know you have a couple of cats too. Remind me of their names.
Yes, we have 3 rescue cats, Gabby, Smokey, and Boo. And they're all 3 very different personalities, different looks and feels. I'd hope that Gabby might grace us with an appearance this morning, but no, she's too busy because it's Friday and she's on weekend mode already.
Excellent. So I've heard a couple of your quotes, which are beautiful and profound. So I was wondering if you might be willing to share one of your favorite quotes or a motto, and why it's so inspiring to you.
Well, my motto is whatever is meant for me will not pass me by. And I love that, because it's just very comforting to me that everything is always on track, no matter where I am in life. And it kind of goes with my overall life philosophy of letting just life unfold before me, and really just going with the flow and not forcing the issue. I have many very talented and accomplished friends who've been on a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan, and rarely, if ever, do plans work out the way you imagine. So I've really not been one to plan ahead, but just to kind of stay attuned to what's happening and to take advantage of any opportunities or intuitive insights that I might have, and run with them from there.
It reminds me, I've spoken to a couple of your clients, and there's a common thread that runs through the theme of working with you, where you give them a peace of mind. It's your style. You're steady, you're balanced, you're calm. You give them peace of mind, which is part of the value of working with P Green Design, I think.
Yes. I never really thought about it quite like that, but clients have commented, that they appreciate, my calm, cool, collected approach, even, under the pressure of great deadlines. Quick
Absolutely. Yes, indeed. So we have a bonus legacy question. And I was hoping that you would mind repeating the question and filling in the blank. It's a fill in the blank question. And I use the second word sort of loosely. So the bonus legacy question is this: if God would let me, I would X. So if you could repeat that and kind of fill in the blank, but I mean, God could be anything. It could be, Buddha, Allah, higher power, spirit, time, 0 point field, something greater than you. So if your God would let you, what would you do?
If God would let me, I would keep on creating from now until eternity.
Well said.
I just, love the act of creating imprints and can't imagine doing anything else. It's been a lifelong pursuit for me. And I plan on, I plan on snowshoeing on, forever.
Brilliant. Well, it's an inspiration to many. Ladies and gentlemen, Paulette Green from P Green Design. She creates imprints to make brands come alive, thrive, and endure. You can connect with her on her website at pgreendesign.com. Thank you so much, Paulette, for being here today.
Thank you, Mary. It was my great pleasure.